everybody, this is Jamie from Made My Art and Design Experience, and we are going to make an umbrella mixed media masterpiece today. In order to do this project, the materials that we'll need are some glue, 2 pieces of paper, a pair of scissors, a black marker, a pencil, color, and if you have some lying around, I cut out some black and white newspaper. I'm going to do my raindrops on here. If you don't have black and white newspaper or an old book, you can rip out a couple pages. You can also do your raindrops just using regular white paper. The first thing we want to do is create the background for our umbrella. This should be kind of a gloomy colored sky. So I'm going to play around with my watercolors to create something that looks like clouds, a little bit of black, a little bit of blue, and we'll see what happens. If you are going to use watercolors, you want to make sure you have a jar of water, and you're going to do 4 drops of water to wake up your paint. If you don't have watercolor paints at home, you could just use, I would recommend using colored pencils. We want the background to be a little bit lighter than the umbrella. That way the umbrella stands out more and it becomes the focal point of the piece. Now, if you have not used watercolors before, you want to make sure that they are pretty wet and runny so that they come out looking pretty light as you're adding it onto the paper. So as you can see, I have completed my background. The paper is curling a little bit, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place this to the side to dry. And once it's dry, I'll probably put a book down on top of it just to make sure that it stops curling like that. You can also, once there's no more pools of water on here, you can blow dry it, and that blow dryer is actually gonna make it nice and flat again. Now that we have our background complete and it's drying, we're gonna work on the umbrella. What I've done is I've cut my paper in half just so that I am not wasting an entire sheet of paper. Also, if you don't have newspaper or a book that you can cut up, you can use the other half of the sheet of paper to do your raindrops. For now, we're gonna just focus on our umbrella. So we have to do a couple of marks on this paper to help us in creating our umbrella shape. So what you're gonna do first is find the center of the paper, the top of the paper, and you're gonna create a little line. Once you've made your mark though, you want to stick 2 of your fingers right underneath it and mark on the other side of your 2 fingers. That's about how far down the top of our umbrella should be. And now we're gonna do the same thing on either side. So I'm saying 2 adult fingers. Kids, I would recommend using 3 fingers for this part. So I'm gonna put my 2 fingers right in the bottom corner, and I'm gonna make a line that marks where the top of my second finger is, and I'm gonna do the same thing right on the other side. Okay? So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna connect all these lines to create the shape of our umbrella. So I'm gonna start from the left, and I'm going to curve up. I'm not making a direct diagonal line. It is a little curvy. There we go. It is a little curvy, just like the top of an umbrella would be. So it's not perfectly straight. If you do draw it perfectly straight, you can go back and you can add that curve in afterwards. Just make sure that you press really lightly with your pencil. That way you can erase it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to turn my paper upside down because it's easier for me to do it that way. And I'm going to come back down the other way and meet my other mark with a curved line. Great, so now we have the top of our umbrella. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna add some curvy lines to the bottom, and that's gonna help us when we're separating this out into lines. So essentially what you're gonna do is you're gonna think about the same shape you just made, and you're gonna make little ones right on the bottom. And these don't have to be the same size. They can be all different sizes, doesn't matter. And what we're gonna do is in each peak of the lines where each curve meets, we're going to draw a curved line up to the top, right at the middle of the top of the umbrella. All right, there we have it. We have our umbrella. Now each section, I'm gonna color in a different color, and no surprise, I've decided that I'm gonna do rainbow colors. So as I mentioned at the beginning of this, I want my umbrella to be really bright against my kind of sad, cloudy background. So I'm gonna do bright colors. I would recommend using a marker or using a crayon. We're gonna color in first, and then we're gonna cut out. That way we don't have to worry about going outside the lines. Now that I've colored in my umbrella, I'm going to cut it out. What I want everybody to do when they cut out though, is to make sure you keep a part of this bottom. So what we'll do is we are going to cut right underneath this umbrella, and we're gonna put this to the side and work on this in a second, because this is gonna be the handle of our umbrella. So when I'm cutting, just a scissor pro tip here, watch how I'm using one hand to cut, but the other hand is moving the paper. That's really the best way to cut something like this out. Now that I have the top of my umbrella cut out, I'm going to use that little strip of paper to draw the handle. Now you want to make this handle kind of skinny, so what I would recommend, so that you don't have to worry about cutting the top, is dividing this paper the long way into 3 parts. You can go down, down like that, and because you have your umbrella cut out, you can check and see that this umbrella handle is long enough, not too long. There we go. I think that's good. And we're going to turn this into a J. So right at the bottom, we'll make a little loop. If you want to just do a circle at the bottom, you can go ahead and do that. It's up to you, but what you'll do is you'll color this in brown or whatever other color you want to make it. I think I'll make mine black and then cut it out just like you did the top of the umbrella. Now that your umbrella handle is cut out, the last thing that we're gonna do to this umbrella before we glue it on is we're going to take our black marker and we are going to outline the dividers between each color that you drew before. And then we're gonna draw right over the edge of this umbrella to add an outline. So our background should be dry, and we are going to decide where on this background we want our umbrella to go. So I'm gonna play around and see. think I'm gonna put it there on a tilt, and this is gonna give me space to put some raindrops up here and some raindrops down at the bottom. So I'm gonna get my glue stick and on the back. I'm gonna leave the handle of the umbrella right where it is to help to guide me back to the spot that I chose. So before I press down too hard, I'm gonna glue this guy down. Slip that right underneath. Move this over a little bit. All right, and now I'm going to smooth it with my hand. I'm gonna flip it, making sure not to put this paper over where my glue is on my table. I'm gonna just give it a nice, firm smoothing down. Ta-da! The next step is gonna be to draw our raindrops. So, like I said earlier, if you don't have a newspaper that you can cut out or a page from a book, you can just use regular white paper. I'm going to draw some raindrops on this. Now, I kind of want mine to be a little bit bigger and exaggerated. I'm going to show you how you can draw a raindrop, and I'll show you right on my background here. Essentially, it's just a frown face and then a V. And you can draw these all upside down if it's going to help you. So frown face, and then you connect it with a V. Easy peasy. So I've cut out my raindrops, and if you noticed when I was cutting them out, I first cut out around the raindrop and then cut it out from there. I think that's a little bit easier to do. So essentially I'm just gonna lay these out. I'm gonna decide where I want them to go. I think I want them diagonal, going in the same direction as my umbrella. And if you feel like as you're laying these out, there's not enough or it's uneven, you can cut out as many more as you need. Okay, so there you have it. Our rainy day mixed media umbrella collage. I hope you had fun making this tutorial today. If you did the project, please post a picture in the comments. And I hope that everyone has a good weekend. Bye.